There was a time when she was perhaps the best-known face on the Indian television screen. She had more shows than anyone, and one of them lasted 10 years. Although today her interests have taken her increasingly behind the cameras, she's still involved in creating riveting roles that will keep you glued to your sets. Well, here to talk all about it is the lady herself, Renuka Shahane. Welcome to the program, Renuka.
Thank you, Karan.
I gather you're now involved in writing scripts for television and cinema.
That's right.
And your first serial is about to go on air fairly soon as well.
That's a dream, actually. One can never say when the serial is going to come on air.
Why are you superstitious a little?
No, I'm not superstitious, but that's just the reality of it. So I'm just writing. I don't know what the end would be, but I just want to write.
Tell me about the story, can you? Can you share the secrets?
Not really. I'd rather have it, you know, on screen and then...
So you're not going to reveal even a little bit?
No.
But this is not, in fact, the first time you've written. You did a story for Rishte several years ago, didn't you?
That's right. In '98, I did a story called Cross Connection for Rishte. And that was quite well received, you know. It was a light comedy. And it worked out very well because I wrote it and I directed it. And Rajat Kapoor, the actor, was producing it.
So is that one of the reasons why you're determined to go into it now in a much bigger way?
Yes.
To what extent does your commitment and your motivation lie in the fact that, having been an actress, you felt that perhaps they aren't the sort of positive and challenging roles that you wanted available for women?
It's not only the kind of roles that are available now on television or even in Hindi films, for that matter. It's a question of acting as a profession. I got into it just, you know, by chance. And that has not been my passion. Direction has always been something I would have wanted to do.
So you've been waiting for this moment.
That's right. And direction is something in which you have complete control over things. You get the brickbats as well as the bouquets. And I'm ready for that. And I don't want to blame the writer or the director for bad acting, which sometimes we
You want to blame yourself for everything. So do I get a hint that therefore now, as the new chapter in your life opens, we may see less and less of you on the screen?
Yeah, I think that's quite right, because I'm quite tired of seeing myself on the screen.
Now, you said a moment ago about your own acting career, which was amazing, that it happened quite by accident.
Yeah.
What exactly did you mean?
Well, actually, I was studying in St. Xavier's College. I was doing my BA. And in the second year, a group of people were putting up a play called Andher Nagri Anubhuj Raja. It was a musical with 13 songs. And my best friend and I, we went to audition for the songs. And we were selected. And during that process of rehearsing, I realized that this whole medium interested me, theatre. And the next time our family friend Pandit Satyadev Dubey asked me whether I'd like to be part of a play he was doing, I said yes immediately.
You jumped at it?
Yeah, not in terms as an actress. I would have swept the floors actually, you know, because I just wanted to be part of theatre.
What was it that actually attracted you to theatre? Was it the life, or was it in something inside you that wanted to express itself?
It was both. The life is also quite bohemian, you know, quite unlike what I am as a person. And this whole process of seeing something being created in front of you in a short period of time, and you getting that response immediately from the people in front of you, I think that's what excites me.
So there's a little bit of Renuka that wants to be something very different to what she actually is.
Yeah.
Now, your first appearance on television was in a serial called PC or Masi. Am I right in being told that, in fact, you got the role because of your Marathi accent?
Not really. I don't think it was the Marathi accent. In fact, it was the lack of it that got me the role. Jayant Kriplani and Gulan Kriplani made me read a whole passage in Hindi. And since I was training under Satyadev Dubey, I knew what correct Hindi was all about. And I read it well, and that's how I got the role.
So they were impressed by your diction?
Yeah, but Aziz Mirza wasn't. In circus, he used to keep telling me, oh, you have a Ghatan accent, and you better change it if you want to do things in Hindi.
That was the one that you did with Shah Rukh. Was it fun being with him?
Oh, it was great fun. He has a lot of energy. In fact, it's very inspiring to work with a person with so much energy. I mean, he tires you just being so energetic. But it was fun. The whole unit was fun to work with.
But in fact, the big break came a little while later. It was 1990, wasn't it, with Surabhi?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, there the story goes that you had a disastrous audition.
Yes, I did. I fumbled through it. It was this big passage of very cliched Hindi about Brihadeshwar Mandir, you know. And I had learnt it by heart. And I came in front of the camera and I kind of fumbled, and I didn't actually mind, you know. I kept smiling through it and saying, I'm really so sorry, but let me continue. And, you know, And that's what, in fact, Siddharth's wife Geeta liked that audition a lot, and that's how I got
So were you
selected.
surprised when she offered you the role?
Yeah, quite surprised.
In fact, you went on to do it for 10 years. Did you really think you would do it for so long?
No, I didn't think I would do anything for so long. In fact, I get quite bored of things, you know. But Surabhi was a different kind of program. It was something in which I was learning a lot. I really didn't know so many things about India that I got to know through Surabhi.
So it was eye-opening.
It was.
It was also very enjoyable. It was one of those rare programs that struck a chord. Why do you think it was so successful?
Because it was the first of that kind, and also because it had this balance of a very serious and erudite gentleman placed with, at that time I was young and bubbly, and you know, this
You mean you were a good foil to each other?
Yeah, that's right. And somehow there was a warmth in the program that reached out to people.
But you know, people say that the most engaging thing about that program was Renuka Shahane's smile.
I don't know about that, because the first 2 or 3 reviews I got were, they were screaming out loud against my smiling in a supposedly cultural program, because till then culture was supposed to be something talked about very seriously, you know. And here there was this giggly thing, you know, talking to the audience with all smiles, and that wasn't really liked by the critics.
Critics never like the good things
In
in
fact,
life, do they?
I was very happy about Amita Malik, you know. She had written something very nasty about me in one of her reviews, something to the same effect. And she met me 2 years later, and she said that a lot of people criticized her for that critique of me. And the more she saw me, the more she changed her mind, and she actually came up to me and told me that, which was really sweet of
In fact,
her.
the truth of the matter is that the one thing that everyone associates with you is this happy, smiling face.
Yeah,
But when they do it all the time, and they've
Yeah.
done it now for years and years, does it please you, or has it begun to slightly irritate you as well?
It doesn't really please me. It doesn't irritate me either, because it's true, I do smile a lot. But it doesn't please me to think that people should associate me only with a smile. I would also like them to remember me for my acting or other things, you know.
They can't not, because there was a stage in the 90s, wasn't there, around 93, 94, when you were in practically every single successful serial. There was Imtihan, Junoon, Sailab,
Yeah.
Nine Malabar Hill,
Yeah.
then Kora Kagaz, which continues, and Antakshi. You must have been pushing yourself in one
Yeah,
big way.
I was. That wasn't a really good time. In terms of my profession, it was really good, because people were really liking my work. But I didn't like keeping such long hours, you know. I'm quite lazy.
So against your
completely
better
against.
judgment and inclination, you were
Absolutely.
working hard.
But you know, unless you do that, you don't know when to put a stop, how much you can do. So I did push myself, and now I know that I can't take that anymore. So I have been cutting down on my work.
So when people look at this amazing output and say she must be very ambitious, they're actually completely wrong.
Yeah, they are. I'm not ambitious at all, you know. Things just happen to me, and I just live life the way it comes. It's a very natural way of living. Actually, I've never really planned or dreamt or...
You take life day
as
by
it
day,
comes,
step
yeah.
by step.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that people do remember is the easy way in which you used to express your emotions on Antakshi. You were often in tears. Was that you, or was it Anu doing it to you?
Actually, most people think that Anuji intimidates his co-anchors. That's not true. I mean, I learned a lot from him. And the only thing is that, you know, I've always been a crybaby. In fact, my best friends in school used to always be scared about the fact that I'll, you know, break out in tears any moment.
You sure it wasn't a secret weapon that you just brought on to
No.
intimidate people yourself?
No, I didn't use it as that. No, it just used to happen, and I took a long time to control these emotions, you know, and I didn't like that. I'm not a very public person. I don't like showing my emotions in public. So I learned not to show my emotions in public. And here was this man who used to just talk and cry, and used to make me cry as
So
well.
every time he cried, you
I
cried.
It was very embarrassing, but then I don't know, people thought that it was quite natural, so they didn't really criticize me for it. But it's true, I just can't take another person crying in front of me. It's just that way.
Well, I promise you I'll keep a straight face right through
Thank
this
you.
interview. Now, of course, the other strange thing is that you only did a handful of films, although that includes the incredible Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. Why didn't you do more films?
I really didn't get very good, interesting roles. I'm not talking about the length. I'm talking about substance.
The challenge.
The challenge. I didn't want to do the same Bhabhi because I don't think there would be a sweeter Bhabhi than the one I had portrayed in Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. There wouldn't be sweeter people ever to work with than the Rajashrees. So I didn't want to repeat that. And Raj Babu had told me something very interesting. Raj Babu is Surajji's father. He told me that, Renuka, you will always be remembered for this role because this is a phenomenal success. And you will not be remembered if you spoil it by doing something really terrible.
So don't do another one, don't spoil it.
Yeah, try to maintain the kind of respect you have for this role. And I did follow his advice, I think. And also because there are lots of people in the commercial Hindi world who are not willing to pay. And if I want to do films, I want to get paid for them.
When you say they aren't willing to pay, do you mean to say they actually want an actress of your caliber to put in a sterling performance for virtually nothing?
Yeah.
So that's exploitation.
That's if you do it. I don't want to get exploited, so I won't do it.
But there are lots of people out there who are being exploited.
But they don't think of it as exploitation. They are doing it for other things. They have other aims. So I don't want to compare their aims with mine.
But it's a tough decision to take because on the one hand, there is this side of you that wants to be an actress, and on the other, there's this side of you that realizes that the roles you're getting are challenging and you're also being exploited. So was it a difficult choice?
It wasn't a difficult choice only because I'm not very ambitious. It would have been very difficult if I felt, that my worth is this and I'm not getting that much. That would be really frustrating.
So come back for a moment to the script you're writing. Are you creating those challenging roles that you never got given yourself?
No, I'm creating roles for other people because I don't want to act in my own film. So I want to create characters which have sense, which have logic, which have their own language, which are very human.
And these will be roles that other women actresses can fulfill and feel that they've put something into.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a break there. I want to talk in part 2 about the lady behind the camera, the one that we don't really ever get to see that much of, the real Renuka. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is Renuka Shahane. Let's talk about your childhood, Renuka. You have a father who was a naval officer, a mother who's a prominent Marathi author. With parents like that, what sort of childhood did you have?
It was actually not a very normal childhood as all childhoods go, because my parents were separated when I was around 8. And so my father, though he was in the Navy, we didn't travel with him. We came to Bombay in '74. So ever since that, I have been living with my mother and my mother's mother. My Nani was a very important part of my life. So it was not normal in that sense because people looked at us in a very different kind of way. They didn't really accept us as easily as they would.
And all because your parents are separated?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, because they can't, kind of get back at the parents. They get back at the kids.
Did they ever make you suffer as a result?
Not suffer, but definitely they didn't make life very pleasant. And it wasn't pleasant because there were always so many questions asked about why my father wasn't living with us and, things like that. So that wasn't very pleasant, but I think because my mother and father have always loved and respected each other, even today, there hasn't been any bitterness, and it was just a question of incompatibility. So it was very easy for us to grow up in a very warm and loving atmosphere. And that is most important, I think.
Your father tells an engaging story about you. He says that when you were a toddler and he'd take you on board the ship, it wasn't milk that you thrived on, but something very different.
Beer?
Yes.
Trust Baba. No, actually, that's what he offered me. I mean, he never offered me milk.
He brought you into the temptation.
That's right. And as anything that my father enjoyed so much, I mean, I'm sure was good for me. So that's how I got tasting it. But that liking doesn't continue.
You've given it up?
Long ago.
Your mother says that as a child you hated food and she had to get up to all sorts of tricks to get you to eat.
That's right. I still don't really eat very well. But I don't enjoy eating. I just eat because one has to live. But as a child, she used to just follow me around and, make little balls of the food and tell me stories and try to make me eat.
One mouthful per story.
Yeah, that's right. I was fascinated with little balls, I think.
But the interesting thing is, for a lady who went up to become such an accomplished actress, your first appearance on a public stage I'm told ended in tears.
That's right. Tears has been a very prominent part of my life. But I had this horrible stage fright as a kid. I didn't realize that till I went on stage for a singing competition. And I was singing this song called Kahe Tarasai Jiera. And it was well rehearsed, and I went on stage and I started the first alap, went well. And suddenly I saw this whole, all these strange faces in front of me. And I froze, and suddenly I was in tears, and I rushed off the floor and into my mother's arms. And ever since that, I didn't think that I would ever be able to face an audience on stage. So it was very surprising for me when I first did my first play, Bombay Ke Kauve. No, Bombay Ke Kauve. And I faced the audience, and I just felt so much at home. And that's how I felt that maybe this is what I'm meant to do,
And the stage fright had just completely disappeared.
Yeah, it was just that little bit of tension that you get before going on stage, which is fine, that, enhances your performance. But no stage fright. I could look people straight in their eyes and perform.
But in fact, in those days, you were quite academically inclined. I believe both in school and more in college. You studied in your BA in psychology, and then you did a master's. That's a daunting subject.
I loved psychology. I mean, I still think sometimes that if I stop acting or don't fulfill my dream of becoming a director, then I'll go back and do my PhD in psychology, which is what I would have done if I didn't become an actress. So I love studying. I love learning new things, always. And psychology is something which interested me because it is a science and it is about human beings. How obvious. And science I couldn't really bring myself to do because I hated maths. I was so poor at maths that I just couldn't continue in the science stream.
But tell me, someone who studied psychology right up to their masters, do you look at people and psychoanalyze them silently all the time?
Not really. It happens quite naturally. People are perpetually scared of, that part of me. But it helps you to not judge people. It helps you not to label people, which is something that we are constantly doing. But we in psychology make a conscious decision not even to label and, our patients.
You bend over backwards the other way.
Yeah. So, but it really does help to judge other people, not in being judgmental, but in terms of placing them in your life, because you learn to place what you are.
So are you a good judge of character?
I think so, yes.
You don't get easily misled by a smiling face and a nice sounding voice?
Are you talking about me?
You don't get taken in by your own smile?
Not at all. I know what's behind it.
Now, while you were in college, you got married for the first time. Sadly, it didn't last very long. Looking back, being a psychoanalyst perhaps, do you think you were perhaps too young?
I was, yes. You tend to make mistakes when you are young, quite a lot of mistakes, because at that time you don't really know what you want to do in life. You have a half-baked knowledge of even the institutions in society like marriage, which is so important, so deep. And somehow there is an idealism which very little of that is true, so you can get disillusioned quite easily if things don't work out. And there are a lot of things that I learned out of that, a lot of mistakes that I committed at that time, and which I don't think I would want to ever repeat again.
It sounds as if you thought you were in love and very quickly and sadly discovered that you were wrong.
Yeah, not that the love was wrong, but the fact that we were just not compatible again.
But at 20 or 21, which is how old you were at the time, was this a traumatic, emotional experience?
Yes, it was, because I don't think any bad marriages at any age is less traumatic. It is quite a trauma, and not only because it concerns two individuals who have been in love at one time and who want to make it work, and it hasn't, but also because of the way other people, look at you.
That's the most difficult.
That is, as I said, where my childhood was concerned, the same thing applied to me as a grown-up. But I think I have always been a very tough person. I have not really considered what other people think about me to be the most important thing, how I would like to judge myself.
You also said earlier on that you were a very private person. Did that sense of privacy and the fact that you like to have your space around you help?
It does help, yes, because I don't want to please the whole world. I don't want to get a character certificate from people who have not made any difference to me in my life, who have not helped to bring me up, who have not raised me. So that's always been with me.
But that's a very difficult attitude to maintain, because when you're an actress, so much of you yearns for public recognition, and yet personally you're saying you don't mind what they say and what they feel as long as what you're doing is right for yourself.
No, I think acting can be looked at as a profession, as an art, and I look at acting as an art which I would like to explore, and not necessarily the ends that are attached to that art which imply that other people will recognize you, they'll come to take your autographs. That part of that is a byproduct. It's an occupational hazard for me. It's not why I got into acting.
Now, earlier this year, in fact, in summer, you got married for the second time to Ashutosh Rana. Is it true that this is a relationship that began with a very unusual telephone call?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, it was in '98 at around Diwali that we were supposed to work in a television serial together. And the director of the television serial decided to have a kind of cast party before going for the shooting, so that people got to know each other. And unfortunately, Ranaji couldn't attend that party because he was in Delhi giving an interview. So the next day, which was Diwali day, he called me up to wish me a happy Diwali, and he didn't keep his number. So obviously, I didn't call back. Then he called the next day again and wished me again. And this time, I decided I must not be very impolite, and I must give him a call and at least return his wishes. And so I did, and he wasn't at home. So I left a message with his sister, who's now my sister-in-law. And then he called back finally, and we got talking, and we spoke for 2 hours. 2 hours on everything under the sun, I think. And it didn't stop at that. We talked to each other on the phone quite regularly after. And
but the interesting thing is you only talked to each other on the phone. You didn't meet for 2 more months. Why was that?
It just happened because we were busy shooting. He was going out of town for his shoots. I was, busy shooting in Bombay, and we just kind of were talking. And in the beginning, it was just this thing of getting a very nice new friend, and that by itself was very surprising to me, because I felt I was, not a 16-year-old who would kind of, talk to people on the phone for hours. It was very surprising to me. But then finally, there were a lot of things that we loved talking to each other about, and things started getting quite serious, at least where I was concerned. This was a romance, definitely. And perpetually surprised is the fact that it happened on the phone. And then we finally decided to meet on the 31st of December, 1998. And he was supposed to meet me at 6, and of course he landed up at 8. And
kept you waiting.
Yeah. But
and now, 18 months later that you've got married, have you found the happiness you've been seeking?
Oh, yes. I think it is the most wonderful thing that can happen, a good marriage. And a person like him is very, very rare. I mean, he's wonderful. He's a wonderful husband. He's a wonderful companion.
Well, good luck. Congratulations. And we look forward to the screenplay when it hits the screen.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very
Renuka.
much.